All right, derivative rules. So we have two new rules today. We got the exponential rule and the logarithmic rule. Now, just to refresh our memory, let's just remind ourselves, what is the derivative of e to the u function? We remember that the derivative of that function is just itself times the chain rule, right? U prime. Okay, and then let's remind ourselves the derivative of the natural log function as well. If we remember that, that's just 1 over whatever's inside times u prime, because that's the chain rule. Okay, so now let me tell you what the actual rule for the exponential and logarithmic rule when you have a base that's any number rather than just the natural log or the natural constant e. So for the exponential rule, it's really the same thing as the e to the u. It's just b to the u, but the only thing that you got to multiply by is the natural log of the base. That's the one new thing. And of course, times the chain rule. Okay, so I'll just say this. This is, it's like the same as the e to the u. Okay, the only thing that's new is right here, new. Okay, so let's actually try that. Let's try using that rule for the y equals e to the x. Okay, so if we use our new rule, we know that the derivative y prime is going to be the same thing times the natural log of e times 1, because that's the chain rule. Derivative of x is 1. Now, what do you notice? The natural log of e is just 1. So it makes sense that y prime equals e to the x. Okay, so I'll say that basically this new rule, the exponential rule, works for all cases. So if you just remember this one, then that's the best one to remember. Okay, so let's do another example. Then for the second problem, y prime is going to equal, keep the same as before, times the new part, the natural log of the base, times the chain rule, which is negative 2x. There you go. That's it. Okay, let's do the logarithmic rule. The logarithmic rule is also very similar. I'm going to do in blue things that you keep the same. So once again, you just do 1 over u, that's exactly the same, times the chain rule, u prime, so exactly the same as before, right? Very similar, the same. Okay, the only new thing is you multiply by 1 over the natural log of the base. So very similar, right? If you notice that this natural log of the base and this natural log of the base are very similar, that you both multiply, except for the exponential rule, you just multiply by the natural log of the base, but for the logarithmic rule, you multiply by 1 over the natural log of the base. Okay? Alright, so let's see if that works for the natural log of x. We know that y prime is just going to be 1 over x, but let's see if the new rule works for this. So we know that the new rule states that you got to do 1 over x times 1 over the natural log of the base. Now, do you remember what the base for a natural log is? We know that we can rewrite this as the log base e of x. So this is going to be 1 over the natural log of e times chain rule, which is just 1. And we know that is equal to 1 again. So again, y prime equals 1 over x, and this work out. Okay. All right, let's do a log base 5 problem this time. So y prime is going to equal 1 over the inside times the new part, 1 over the natural log of the base, which is 5, times chain rule, which is going to be 12x cubed plus cosine of x. There you go. Okay, so please now practice on your own.